All right, so let's go. Real estate business builders. This is the preloaded year 2023 edition, and I'm going to start this training out like at the 30,000 foot view. But the bottom line here is that I want you to be able to put your marketing on autopilot for 2023. There are significant things going on in our industry, the least of which is obviously a more than doubling of interest rates, a major shift that's going to have ripple effects throughout the next 12, 18, 24 plus months, I believe. And I feel like if you have a plan, you can get through it 100%. If you haven't grabbed a copy yet of a set of dashboards, we've got the marketing ROI multiplier, a marketing scorecard, your marketing content calendar template, and your social media calendar template. I'm going to go through all of it today, but just comment dashboards wherever you're watching this. Just comment dashboards and we'll get you a copy of those. So let's go 30,000 foot view here and talk about why does this topic matter? Specifically as it relates to, I think just the game of real estate is changing dramatically. And so when I look at the landscape and I look how most agents are trying to generate business, they're looking to give their money to someone else, a lead aggregator, well, essentially lead aggregators, whether it's Zillow or Ideal Agent or anyone that's trying to get in between you and the client. That's not the way that we want to play. In my opinion, we become a slave to the business, to the industry. We're playing the game that they want to play. So I feel like we don't have any friends, right? Zillow is not your friend. Even if you use Zillow as a tool to grow your business, ultimately they want all of your commission check. If they could get all of your commission check, they would take it. So I feel like we have no friends. For us, profit is not optional, right? There are big competitors in our business who I think are going to fall that have not made any money. You know, Amazon's a good example, majorly venture-backed for what, the decade they didn't make money. Carvana is now probably going to fail as an entity, never made money. In our own industry, you know, Compass lost, I think, close to $3 billion already as an entity. We can't do that, right? We have to be super smart about how we run our businesses. We have to work on an economic model. And when it comes to marketing specifically, we have to make sure that we're using our dollars wisely, if at all. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So as an industry, I'm not saying this about you. Clearly, if you're in real estate business builders and you're here and engaged on this training, this might not be you. Generally, as an industry, though, our service sucks, right? We're not really setting up our businesses to provide an amazing world-class experience to buyers and sellers. And as a result, we're getting like gobs and gobs of referrals, right? And so it's this mindset shift to how do we provide a service to our clients where referrals are the only logical response to their interactions with us. And we'll talk more about that here later. So more cattle, less hat, right? What's the expression? You know, all hat, no cattle. I feel like in our industry, there's a lot of that's going on where the goal here, and again, we're at this 30,000 foot view before I get into the real tactics about how to pre-decide how many homes you're going to sell next year and do that through marketing systems and tracking. We have to have more substance in our businesses, right? There's too many of us, generally. There's too many agents. We're all saying we're number one, and it's not how to run a sustainable business. And we'll talk about it a little bit more here in a little bit. And going back in time. So there's a really good quote by Gary Vee. I don't agree with everything Gary Vee, but his book, Thank You Economy, is really, really good. I believe we're living through the early days of a dramatic culture shift that's bringing us back full circle, and that the world we live in and work in now operates in a way that is surprisingly similar to the one of our great-grandparents. Social media has transformed our world into one great big small town, dominated as all vibrant towns used to be by the strength of relationships, the currency of caring, and the power of word of mouth. So we're going to talk about word of mouth. We're going to talk about social media. We're going to talk about using your calendar, pre-deciding how to load that all up, and just decide now how successful you're going to be next year. While most agents are running for the hills, fearful, just drowning in the FUD, right? The fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the bleeding, leading headlines, right? You're going to be confident because you pre-decided how next year is going to be. So let's get into like what exactly you should know about this concept called the preloaded year. Number one is that we must rethink our funnel. If you show up to these trainings, you will see me go through this slide many, many times. This is the game we're playing. I don't think this game is going to change. If you're a screenshot person, I would take a screenshot of this and save it. You have the ability to generate leads on one side, and you have the ability, if you choose to set up your business, to have like raving fan lunatics. There's a good book by Ken Blanchard called Raving Fans. You know, and there's this process to get from point A to point B, right? So from the beginning to the end, and there's a 5-step process that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but this is the backdrop to how we run our business. And what we're going to talk about today is how do we make sure that we have all the systems in place before the year starts, or it actually doesn't matter when you do this, right? If you're watching this like as a replay and it's a mid-year, do not wait until like the end of the year to implement everything we're going to learn today. Right now is the perfect time to do this, right? The expression like, if you want to sit in the shade and there's no trees around, when was the best time to plant a tree? Was 20 years ago. The second best time is today, right? So this is, this doesn't have to be just this time of year. But we're going to talk about how do you like systems-driven approach to leads coming in the top of the funnel. So you can put systems in place for conversations, systems in place to set appointments, systems in place to have those folks show up at your office, buyers and sellers ready to work with you. You sign them as loyal clients. You get them through the most turbulent time of the transaction, which is looking at homes or, you know, getting their home on the market and selling it. And then you can do that contract to closing where most of the business trust and the fun is sucked out of the real estate transaction. But you do that last part in the right way with high touch. And I'll talk about that here in a second. You will have a client for life. And that creates this virtuous cycle. So that's the business model that we're pursuing. And there's lots of debate of how we fill top of funnel here. And there are coaches that will tell you that I was literally at a Boomtown event. Tom Ferry was on stage. Tom runs a massive, massive business. So this is not a criticism, but from stage, he said, y'all just need to buy more Zillow leads and get good at converting them. And this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. This is pre-Zillow Flex. So clearly not following an economic model. Right now, Zillow wants to take about 35% of your commission checks. They want to take all of it. But playing that game, I think you're going to ultimately lose. So that's not what we're going to talk about. We are counter at Real Estate B School. Most of the stuff we teach is counter to the easy button. The easy button is just clicking, you know, and paying for leads, right? The harder way is to build true marketing systems, a content calendar, tracking and setting up a plan in advance. And that's what we're going to get today. So the second, in terms of, you know, how to go about this and how to frame this challenge is the fact that for the most part, we're commodities. There's too many agents, you know, doing too few deals. You know, it is a 90-10 where 10% of the agents are doing 90% of the business, or at least a 20-80. The question, though, as the market shifts, is are you actually any different than the other agents that are out there, right? Are you actually any different than the agents out there? And if you're not different than any of the agents out there, maybe it's time to sort of reconsider how you're going about your business, right? So if you look, I think this is where it gets fun. If you look at you know, let's take driving ranges, like a golf driving range, pre-Top Golf. I don't know if you have a Top Golf in your market, but they have redefined what it's like to go drive golf balls, right? Now it's a social thing. They have corporate events. I mean, it is unbelievably awesome and fun. And you don't even have to be good at golf to do it. They gamify it, like just really, really awesome, right? I wouldn't want to compete with a Top Golf at this point. I think they massively impact the industry. So you have your clients going to a Top Golf in your market, then they go to, in my market, there's Lifetime Fitness, which is like the Taj Mahal of gyms. They have a cafe, they have massages, they have like anything you could, I play pickleball there. It's like, you know, they have like resort style amenities. I wouldn't want to be a gym competing with that. Now, I know there are CrossFit gyms in my market that crush it, but generally you have your clients going from Top Golf for a corporate event on a Wednesday. They work out on a Friday morning at Lifetime Fitness, and then they go visit you as their real estate agent. And the decision has to be made that you're going to enter into the arena of expectations of consumers are really, really high, because there are businesses out there that are playing the game of service at a very high level. And it's a mindset shift, and it'll take you a little bit of time to ultimately get there, but you have to decide that you're going to be different than other agents, and you're going to compete at this level. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be deliberate. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the last 3 points here, but I want to plant some seeds with you. We're going to do these trainings regularly, so I'll get into a lot of this stuff. But the third thing you really need to focus on as we consider making your marketing easier, more predictable, and preloading your your year with deals, and pre-deciding what next year is going to look like, is you have to deliver a service that's different. It fits in with this concept here, right? We talked about, are you any different? It comes from the fact that you're committing to providing a service that is uncommon in the industry. That is ultimately that funnel, right? On the right side, clients for life, the virtuous cycle. That's how this game is played. And results matter. You have to be able to get a different result and have your clients experience a transaction and the process of working with you differently. All of the wow moments, all of the scripts, if you have an administrator, the scripts and the things that they're saying and the promises you're making, right? That is going to drive your business at a very meaningful level. And then last 2 points here, social proof is everything. So you do this right, you capture, you know, the good words that are said about you, and that provides the front end of the funnel. Right? So you're just using these good words. You know, at one point, I think we're over like 2,500 5-star reviews online or something. We started at less than 50, right? But I went through this experience. You probably heard me talk about it if you've been on here for a while, where I went into my dentist and I was checking out, and it was clearly a different experience. It was like the Top Golf or the Lifetime Fitness of dentists. And I was checking out, and the lady asked me, she said, "Hey, have you given us a 5-star review yet?" And she was holding her phone. I'm like, "No." She's like, "Okay, open up your phone." And she took me through a process and got me to give this dentist, Valentine Dentistry, a 5-star review. And I'm like, man, I asked her 2 questions. I said, "Why do you think the owners asked you to do that?" At the time, she didn't know this, but me and that dentist office were both on the same radio channel. And I was watching, you know, they wanted more money, the radio stations, and the results were like 1/10 of what they were 5 years earlier. So mass media worked at some point until it didn't, right? Paid home search leads worked at one point until it didn't. Now the currency of business is social proof. So these guys, Valentine Dentistry, they were up over like 1,300 reviews. We've got 2,500 5-star reviews. I've since exited my real estate team, but that is the pillar of the business, right? That is the marketing pillar. That does drive everything. So last point here, and it kind of picks up a little bit on, as an industry, we tend to focus on us as the hero. We're number one. Look how awesome I am. It's very much brand and image advertising. Like every agent has like I had it too, like the crossed arms or the lifestyle photo shoot or missing the mark. There's a good book by Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand. And they give a simple framework. You're simply the guide to their hero's journey. So they are the story. They are the hero, right? If your website, you go to your website and it's all about you, you're not in the game, right? As we generate leads from this virtuous cycle and we preload your year, and I'll get into what that looks like, they're going to come into your marketing collateral and they're going to be like, man, like this does not feel like it's about me. And it escapes us as an industry. It's so sort of ego driven, and it's so image advertising driven. I just think it's totally missing the mark. And we'll do future trainings on some of that. So let's talk about how we get there. This is the quote that you will hear from me forever. It's from a book, James Clear, Atomic Habits. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your system. So I don't really care where you are in production. If you're selling a couple homes a month and you want to get to 4 homes a month, if you're selling 4 homes a month and you want to get to 8 homes a month, or you're at 8 and you want to get to 16, just stating that goal isn't going to get you there. The systems you put in place around your marketing and lead gen, your content creation and your social media, and the tracking and the planning that goes with that, those are the things that are going to get you there, right? So it's not about just setting a goal. It's building the systems. And first and foremost, we must begin with the end in mind. And if you haven't grabbed the tools, I think I said put comment dashboards. The marketing ROI multiplier is the first thing, right? This is a tool that you just contemplate where you could get business, the investment you'd be making in those lead sources. And this is actually an older one, but it serves a good purpose. We've been off radio for a little while. We haven't spent money on Zillow or anything on paid home search leads in a while. But you're able to look at where you could generate business and then just focus on, you know, what would it look like to be really successful in a single lead gen lever. You know, we have 7 or 8 lead gen levers Real Estate B School does. I'd say each of them no brainer good for 1 transaction. Most are good for 25 to 1 transaction per month. Most are good for 25 to 50 plus transactions per year once fully implemented. So it's not about adding more, you know, lead gen levers. It's about putting the systems in place and going deep enough and tracking your numbers. And this is a pre-planning document. So we look at what happened last year, but we also look at where we want to be. So we make predictions and then we track our closed and pending. Very simple process, but it keeps it top of mind, and it allows you to decide that, okay, I'm only going to have 2 lead gen levers this year. My database, and I'm going to do these things, and we'll look at that here in a minute. And I'm going to have, let's say you do want to have 1 home search, you know, realtor.com. We have a system in Real Estate B School to get a 13 times return on paid home search leads. While I was able to exit that lead gen pillar or lever, many agents are still buying home search leads, which I'm okay with, as long as you have a way to get at least a 10x return. So if you spend $1,000 a month, you're getting at least a $10,000 commission check. If you're spending $2,000 a month, you're getting $20,000. So, but this allows us to plan and then track our results over time. So that's the first thing, is to begin with the end in mind. The second point here is that cash follows your calendar, right? So if you're just like sort of haphazardly tripping into next year, or you're in the middle of the year and you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing for my marketing. When I look at that, the game we're playing in the front of funnel and the lead sources, like there is nothing predictably happening on the front end of my business, right? There aren't 2, 3, 4 really prolific, high quality, you know, low cost, super high ROI lead sources that are just producing like clockwork. And that happens as you build out the systems that I recommend. So there's two things you want to do here, and this is in that download. There's a marketing content calendar. So in this instance here, it was a 57 touch. So this is your database marketing plan. We built out and we've changed it, and we've done e-newsletters, hard newsletters, monthly, hard, paper newsletters. We've gone to quarterly. We've done client events, expensive client events, little client events, anything you could imagine, we've done it, but we've committed to doing it, right? Two videos a month, like clockwork. We've turned on the juice on giveaways and had vendors pay for the giveaways. So always looking for ways to have like maximum impact in terms of results, but as low an investment as possible. And to also get others involved, whether it's, let's say you don't have a team, it could be vendors that you're getting involved, you're increasing your reach because you're getting others involved. And then on the flip side, we have the social content calendar, which we would do more than 91. You can see the total touches, 91, but 91 are planned. I would say it's double, maybe triple that when it's all in. But they're pre-planned, like there's no guesswork. And once you design these, you can hand them off to somebody and someone else can run them. That's kind of the beautiful part about it. And that's in the downloads. Last point here is to know your numbers. You have to, if you're going to play the game of business at a high level and you have aspirations to go from wherever you are right now, if you're under 500,000, let's say you're 100,000, you want to get to 500,000, you have to know your numbers. If you're at 500,000, you want to get to 1 million and 1.5 million in top line GCI and get some leverage, through virtual assistants or showing agents or junior agents, a local licensed administrator. There are lean and mean ways you can build a business where you have like maximum freedom, maximum income, and have the best of both worlds. But it starts with knowing your numbers, and particularly with marketing. The marketing scorecard is a tool you must implement in your business. You have to know on a weekly basis how many seller leads are coming in, how many buyer leads are coming in, how many referrals are coming in. You have to know by lead source code. So in Real Estate B School, we coach you to divide all of your lead sources into 100, 200, 300, 400. Right? You have to know exactly what's closed and pending on a weekly basis. So if you're spending money and you're investing dollars in that, you have an idea of if it's returning or not. And then you'll see when you open it up, when you get it, all of your social stats on a weekly basis as well. Your website views, your Facebook views, your reviews. We track reviews on a weekly basis from Zillow, which is not as important as Google and Facebook, but we would track those three. And so this is not negotiable. It doesn't take a lot of time, but if you're going to be in the business, and this is just with marketing, just the front of funnel, we have other simple weekly scorecards. So even if you're running a smaller business, you still need to look at it as sort of by functions, by business functions. So it starts with marketing, it goes to sales, it goes to, delivery, and then typically there's some sort of post, which is more of a marketing function, but there's typically some sort of, internal operations or financial function, administrative function in the business. But generally it's ACDC: attract, convert, deliver, and collect. ACDC. All right, so that is pretty much what I wanted to share with you. So I just have one story to tell. This is like in terms of people that I've been in their life and I've helped impact their journey. KERBY and CRISTINA, it's just been awesome. CRISTINA came in recently to chat with our Real Estate B School tribe. She did the 6 disciplines required to crush the shift. And I came into their team as well. And I did a similar, I think I did the 5 must-dos to crush the shift. And when I met them, they had a single licensed administrator. Fast forward, a handful of years, they hit, this year they'll do over 700 transactions, but I think last year they did 777 transactions for 7.7 million GCI. And you guys would not believe me if I told you that some of the basic systems and the basic scorecards that we worked on back then are the same systems, the same database marketing systems, the same touch program exactly. It's preloaded ahead of time. So there's no guesswork if they're going to be successful or not. And so a bigger example of success, but when it comes to filling the funnel, and they still pay for home search leads, and they track, so they know if they can get a return on it. And some of those returns have come down. I've talked to Kirby quite a bit about that. But just focusing on building marketing and tracking systems is part of the solution, even if it's not your strong suit. So be encouraged by that. And then lastly, just remind you, just comment dashboards and we'll get you a copy of all those tools. And here's the thing, if you want to go further, faster, all I have to offer you is a free business growth assessment. If you've been in this real estate business builders world for some time, you know that there is more to life than real estate, and it's possible to grow your business and not give your life away in the process. The purpose of these calls, and it's not a long call, it's just an assessment, it's to arm you with a clear plan to profitably and predictably scale your business. No hype, just like real world stuff that works. So go to rebsgrowthassessment.com and we'll see you guys on the next training. Much love.